So a lot of people ask me, have I seen American Skin after our review for One Night in Miami? So I did get a chance to see it yesterday, and after it, honestly, I was filled with so many things to say. I sat down in front of the camera, but I could not get the review out. I had to give it a little bit of time. So we're going to talk American Skin today. I'm going to try not to spoil things for you because I feel like not enough people have seen this movie that should see this movie, and it's certainly not getting a fair shake, in my opinion, from the critics. It's not getting what it deserves. So we're going to get into that today, but what I want to do today is I want to spend some time on the story of this movie without spoiling things for you because I think it's such an important story. But let's talk about the technicals first. So, from a movie making aspect, I thought it was pretty good. The movie is written and directed by Nat Parker, and the story I thought was excellent. Now, here's the thing that Nat does is pretty cool in this, and that is how he kind of flips the narrative here. So it starts out as a typical story, and I can share this because they talked about it in the trailer of a father and son who have an encounter with the police. Something ends up happening to the son, and the father is trying to get justice as a result. Pretty formulaic. We've seen stories like that before. But what it does as the movie progresses is it gives you a narrative that you don't quite expect, and it forces you to feel, to think in so many different ways, and that's what makes this movie so powerful. How it executes the story is what makes it so powerful. Now, cinematically, I thought it was really good. I thought it was very well done because, again, it was simplistic in its execution, but the cinematics drove the story. The visual appeal of this complemented the writing in such a way that it really did move the story forward, and it really did create some very, very intense and emotional scenes just from the different camera angles, the close-ups, and all those different things. With the addition of the score, it really gave us a very, very intense experience while watching the movie. So that, coupled with the story, really drove this movie in a very, very powerful way. I thought the performances were really good also. Everybody gave a level of performance, again, that was so complimentary of the story, and again, it moved this movie forward in a very, very powerful way. You felt very much for the different stories, for the different aspects, for the different ideas of what was going on in this, and he does a really good job of executing all of that as he tells this really, really interesting story. So the technical part of this I thought was really, really good. Now I want to focus on the story here, again, without spoiling this for you. It's really interesting because there's a very, very important story being told here, and one that's very hard to tell. A story that most people would not engage in. And I'm wondering why, if that's why most people have not seen this film, because it's a hard film to look at because it causes you to look at some things within yourself. It causes you to look at scenarios in a different way. It causes you to look at things from a different angle. And for many, I think, it's going to be hard to watch this film. I liken this film to some discussions that we might have with friends in real life where it's just so much easier not to talk about it. It's so much easier to have an event happen and to just let time go by, push it in the background, and just not talk about it, not deal with it. But this film does not allow you to do that with how it deals with the subject matter. If I sound really evasive, I hope it's getting your appetite wet. I hope it's making you want to see this because it deserves your eyes. I'm telling you that. So there's so much going on here in terms of the story that's presented and the different viewpoints that's presented. You can't help but to think from another person's position. Now, when you go see this movie, you're going to have a certain position, and your position will be different depending on who you are. And that's what's important to say because that is one of the things that makes this story so special. It's not heavy-handed in one direction. It's heavy-handed, but it's heavy-handed just in the intensity of the story. But it does give you different perspectives. And if you have one perspective going in, it forces you to think about another perspective. Now, as to whether or not you come out at the end of this movie agreeing with the other perspective, that's left up to see after you've seen the film. But I promise you that it forces you to think. And the magic about this as well is that I feel like this is a film for everybody, not just a film for black folks or white folks or whomever. This is a film for everybody because the messaging is so broad. It's a film that everybody should see. So I absolutely loved American Skin. I think that it is a jewel. I think that it's one definitely for your DVD collection. If you're like me, you've gone digital now, right? I bought it. I think it's fantastic. And I was telling my wife about it. I was like, girl, you got to check it out, but you got to be ready when you check it out because it's emotionally heavy. And I'll say that to you. Be ready when you check it out because it's emotionally heavy. But at the same time, I want to tell you, I want to encourage you, do not skip this movie. It is very, very good. And fans are giving it a really good score. But if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got like a 27 from critics. I don't know what they're watching. But again, I think that's because of the heaviness of the subject matter. But it is a story that needs to be told. If you haven't seen American Skin, make sure that you check it out. Feel free to drop all kinds of spoilers in the comments. I will join you in the comments and we can talk spoilers all you want. That is your warning. If you've not seen it, to come back, jump into the comments so we can talk spoilers. If you guys want to do a live about this, let me know in the comments because I would love to do a live about it. But I'm going to tell you, if we do a live about it, forewarning, I'm going to be open and honest in the live about my opinions. Just want to say that, right? Because I feel like this is a movie that deserves that type of conversation. Make sure you check it out.